Okay, just 1 second.
Give me in the mark, get set, go.
The video is now on.
Well, if it is, then they're going to be sick because Jake's walking around. Ken doesn't have it. Can they hear us?
It's coming through for me now. We have 42 people.
Have we got audio on?
I believe so. 1 second.
Tell me when.
Is this video up for?
Yeah, I'm getting video here.
Okay.
I'm just waiting for it to. Okay. Yeah,
Good?
we're good.
All right. Welcome, folks. Sorry for the delay. We have some new hardware we're using.
Yep.
We're all wireless now, so Jake is no longer tethered, so we can walk around the shop. So the first thing we need to start off with is introduction. I'm Rob Cosman. This is our 19th
Yes.
live YouTube workshop. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to build a bench hook, and I'm going to explain to you why that's important and something that you should really seriously consider. However, a little bit before that, we use these as a means of raising funds for our Purple Heart Project. Just in case you don't know what that is, every year we bring in 36 combat wounded veterans. They come from Canada, United States, Australia, England. The majority of them come from the U.S. In fact, of the 88 that we've had to date, 83 of them have been U.S. soldiers. And we bring them in for it now. It's a 6-day workshop, Monday to Saturday. They're in the workshop in here from 8 in the morning till 11 at night. Very intense. We fly them in. We take care of their meals, their hotel, and we send each vet home with this year. Starting this year, it's going to be about $3,300 worth of premium tools. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what we're trying to do with our bench brigade as well. Anyway, it's expensive, but who cares, right? It's too important to not do. If you'd like to participate, if you'd like to be part of it, if you're sitting there thinking, you know what, I owe these guys, because I came to that realization, anything we can do to help alleviate their suffering, it's our moral responsibility to do it. If you want to participate, we're open to donations. So far, of the last 6 of these that we've done, we've raised $30,000. We figure it's about $3,500. It's actually a little more than that, but we're working with the figure of $3,500 per vet. Do the math on that, times 36. And here's some of them behind me. There's several of them. So you can just make a donation. Do it on our website, though, because if you do it through YouTube, they take 30%, actually more than that. Do it through our website. You just go, Frick will put the link on there several times tonight. Now, what we used to do was we would have a draw at the end of the night for whatever it was we built. And anybody that donated a certain $25 would put their name in the hat. Well, we found out that we can't do that legally. That's called gambling. So we love your donations. We appreciate them. Happy to have you partner with us in helping these guys. But anybody can put their name in for the draw. This is open to anyone, no purchase necessary. What do they have to do in order to do it?
Okay, so.
Oh, yeah. Frick's going to tell you this. You want to focus on him?
I don't
Show
know
his
if he
tan?
I don't know if he wants to. Okay, so what's happening? Turn my mic up a little bit. So as Rob said, everybody can enter the draw tonight, no purchase necessary. What I've done is I've created a Google document, and so you can just use your YouTube username to add yourself to that. I'm going to post the link, but all you have to do is go to draw.RobCosman.com and then simply add your name to the list. And if you're familiar with the way Google Docs works, you'll be able to see if someone else is in the document with you. Try not to click on the same cell as they're on. Just start a new line, put your name in, and Megan is going to monitor it all night and make sure it's organized and make sure there's no duplicate entries or anything like that. So draw.robcosman.com, just add your name to the list, and I'll post the link in the chat.
Okay. Now I need to welcome some people. So one of our all-stars, you'll see in the background, is Angie. Angie's part of our team. She takes care of the T-shirts. You need to buy a T-shirt, and we use these T-shirts to raise awareness. So as you wear it, and somebody sees this logo that says Purple Heart Project, it's an easy way to bring up the conversation. And there's a theme on the back. So far we have 2. We got a 3rd one coming. This latest one is Wood Doing Good. The first one was Wood is Good. But you'll notice on the packaging when you get it, Angie's done it. There's our new label that she came up with, which is pretty cool. That was the first time I met her. And Angie is Ken's cousin. And because of a medical situation, she's confined to her room until she gets better, and then she's going to come here, and she's going to be working here. And don't forget your safety glasses. So buy a T-shirt. We'll give you a shout-out if you do that. I want to point out another one. So we just got back from Florida. I did 2 workshops in Florida, and I met a guy named Dave. Dave is a combat wounded vet. Sorry, Dave, I got dirt all over this, but it's black. How do you keep it clean? So Dave gave me this T-shirt. Dave, Special Forces, and he says I can't wear this because if you see that flag, it's covered in names, and those are all deceased servicemen, many of which Dave worked with and knew. So this was, he had a hard time explaining this, but I took it and I said, well, I'll certainly display it in our shop, and we'll show our appreciation. So these guys really deserve everything possible that we can do. And I wish I could take the time, but I can't, because if I do, we won't get through this. But if you were to witness what happens in those 6 days that we have them here, you'd understand how important this is. And I have no idea what I'm doing. All I know is whatever it is we do, we create this environment where this works. So we're going to continue to do it. We have 6. Oh, I guess I should bring you up to date on that too. So there's been a lot of talk about toilet paper lately. I have no idea what having the flu and toilet paper have in common, but everybody seems to be buying up all the toilet paper. Make sure you check out the video that we posted today to lighten the situation a little bit on how you can make your own toilet paper, perforated and all. You just have to go to YouTube and search. What's the title for it?
Never run out of toilet paper again.
Never run out of toilet paper again.
We've already had some comments on here.
It'll give you a smile. Anyway, so as of right now, we're still full steam ahead. Our first class is slated for the first week of May. May 1st? We do. Oh, yeah, sorry. We had somebody change to August. So we actually have 1 opening left for civilian opening in May. We have 1 opening in August. We have 3 openings in October. The rest are obviously full. Now, as far as the combat wounded vets, May, June, and July are already taken care of. Those have been assigned. And if there's one reason I don't want this to cancel, it's that. I don't care about the money side of it. It's a small part of what we do. I don't want to tell these guys that we have to postpone or cancel. So I'm banking on this thing is going to go through. If you're interested, if you are a combat wounded vet, now there's a lot of people that need help, but you know what? We're a small outfit. So our little slice of the pie are individuals who are living with the negative effects of a wound as a result of combat, whether it's a physical wound or a mental wound, traumatic brain injury, post-traumatic stress disorder. You can still apply for the August, September, October classes. That deadline is June 15th. You go on our website, RobCosman.com, top left, PHP, go down in there. The application form is there. And Dave happened to mention to me when I had talked him into applying. Next morning, came in and said, "No way, Rob. There's no way I would be filling out that information." So I asked him. I said, "You know what?" I said, "If you think there's an easier way or a better way, by all means, we're all ears. But you have to understand, we don't know who these people are. All we have is what we read, and we're trying to triage this so that we bring the people who are the most in need." And I apologize if it seems intrusive, but I don't know any other way to do it. Cover the bases on that. Let's take a quick walk around. I want to show you a couple of things. So if you're not on our online workshop, our project right now is a standing desk. Actually, come over here real fast. Jake, no cords to drag around. Megan's here. Ken's here. And Frick is here. We're a little short-staffed tonight. So this is the top. Now, I got the first coat of spray on it. And I went in, I just scraped the finish. So that's it's nice and smooth, but it needs several more coats. What I'm going to do is finish the top, then I'll mask off the top and finish the base. That way you're not dealing with overspray. Now that unit I'm about to show you is going to sit right here. So the green masking tape is to leave bare wood so that when we put it in place, there's dowel holes in there. I didn't want finish going into the dowel holes, and I want the bare wood so that that'll actually glue right to the top. So this will be on the inside. So if you come over here, we're putting a wood hinge on this, and I want to show you this because we got it done this past week. So get a good place where you can see it. So this is a slant top. So this is going to be where you're doing your writing, whatever. And remember, it's a standing desk. But if you'll see, we have our wood hinge worked out nicely. It's a half-inch.
How far does it go?
Half-inch. Well, it'll go all the way back, but we have to put a stop in there somehow.
Do we need to, or is it gonna hit?
Shoot, I got to fix that. No, well, we got to make sure it meets. There's a unit that sits on top of here as well that's going to hold your paper and whatever. And then we got our drawers on the inside. So the way the way I'm doing this top is not attached, it's sitting on dowels. That way I can spray all of this inside and out. Very difficult to spray that and spray this at the same time. So this bottom piece, this piece will be sprayed separately.
Was it inside of that already sprayed?
No.
No, I mean the
No.
lid.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I did just keep getting dirty. This is ready to spray. And then what we'll end up doing is putting together already finished units. The last piece is something like this. This is just the prototype. This will be made out of cherry, dovetailed, whatever, and that'll sit on the top so that your envelopes and checks and whatever will stand up on there. And final thing, just to show you what we've been working on this week. Been working on specialty saw handles. I want to show you some of these. So this is the first bit of English walnut that I've managed to get my hands on. Beautiful wood. I love this wood. You can see the figure in it. It's got all those streaks, a little bit of sapwood on the bottom. I don't have quite a bit, but I probably have enough for 10 of these. This is just the standard white oak, and Ken, this is bleeding again. The oil finish just keeps bleeding out of those pores, so you have to keep rubbing it. This is a piece of cocobolo. It's going to be beautiful. Actually, I think that one is already sold. And here's some other ones that haven't got a finish on it yet. We've got a couple of Vera woods. This is Vera wood.
You wanna bring that out again?
Yeah.
Make Dave jealous?
Yeah, Dave lays claim to that. He's the only one in North America that's allowed to own Vera wood. And this is a piece of Pacific yew. Love that stuff. It feels so nice in the hand. We got some zircote, some torrefied bird's eye, some bacote, some beautiful walnut, some walnut burl. Anyway, we'll show you them as we go. All right, let's get over here and get started. So, why a bench hook? Well, a lot of people get all worked up. I'm forever being hammered by people about safety this, safety that, whatever. If I got a small piece of wood and I need to process, I need to cut it, I have the option of running over there and using a table saw with a crosscut sled. I can go over there and I can use a chop saw. But the smaller the piece, the more dangerous it is to cut. There's no mass there. So if you have a bench hook, throw that on your bench. Now you're going to want a good crosscut saw, and if you need to find out where to buy one of those, I can help you. And you can go in there and you can cut that very accurately. I have a 45 on this one as well, so I can go in there. I'll do this end again. Now, the other reason for a bench hook is it acts as a sacrificial piece so that you're not cutting into your bench. So this gets chewed up, and you're going to have to replace them occasionally. We're going to make one tonight that has a 45 as well as a square. And if you were just lopping a piece off, I would come out here in the end, support the work. But it's so much safer than taking small pieces over to the table saw. We have a cleat on the front to resist force in that direction. We're going to pattern it after that. And then what I would do from there, depending on what you're building, but most everything I do now, we try to do it perfectly. So once you've made your cut close, you would come in using your 45-degree shooting board, and you would finish that off so that you had a perfect 45. Okay? So this is what we want to make. Now, size, well, doesn't really need to be any bigger than this. You're typically not going to be cutting 6-foot boards, so you want to have it comfortable. I suppose this is probably 16 inches wide. It is, and it's about 12 inches deep. Really doesn't need to be any more than that. I like to have this back cleat wide enough because ever since I added in the 45 and the 90, it's nice to have that much more holding your saw so that it minimizes the amount of play and just allows you to get a little bit closer. Okay, so we're going to use 3/4 inch MDF for the base. We're going to use walnut for the band on either end. We're going to dress it up a little bit. And then we're going to use walnut for the cleat and walnut for the fence on the top. And we'll show you how do we get that 45 perfect. Any questions?
Did you tell them that's the prize tonight? For the
Oh,
team?
and that'll be the prize. That's whoever we draw, we're going to send them that bench hook. All of us will sign it on the bottom side, so you can keep it as a memento.
Not that one, the one we're building.
Not the old rotten one, no, the brand new one. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do, ask your questions. Interrupt me, you guys, if you see. If you're a combat wounded vet, if you have been one of our combat wounded vet students from the past, we've had 13 classes, and you're on there tonight, always love to give you a shout out. So would you please make sure you put that in your comment, and these guys will see it, and they'll tell me, and I will stop and say howdy. Is Dave on?
Super Dave is here. Danny is here.
Super Dave? Danny Bell?
Danny Bell's here.
Danny, has he got Stinker with him and the girls?
He didn't say.
He will. All right. I got to square this up.
Is 3?
Becker Chroma lacquer. I will, if we get a chance later tonight, I'll go down there and I'll actually show it to you. I'm live at the dinner table? What's for dinner? Don't tease me. I'm starving.
Is 3/4 sufficient?
Yep, three quarters is plenty. I wouldn't go much thinner, and it's just 1 inch is too awkward, too heavy. I'm going to use this to square everything up. That side is pretty clean, so I'm just going to take a partial cut. Just because I hate this dust, I'll use the dust collector. Now I got a corner missing there, but we'll just cut that off in the length. I'm going to go 11 7/8. One of the secrets to using your router, using your table saw as a jointer is to not stop halfway through. Then you don't end up with where the blade just has a chance to run out and you got a big mark on there. Now, see if this is, I have no idea if this piece is square. We'll check our diagonals. That's 19 1/16. 19 1/16, so it's right on. So I want to get by this broken end. So I'm going to cut that 14 1/2. And we'll trim this end. Just need to take a skim pass. All right, now what we got to get done right away so we'll have it dry by the time we can ready to finish is we need to put a band on either end. So we need we got a 12-inch piece. I'm using this walnut. I'm just going to rip this so that the two edges are parallel. And we only need that to be about 1/4 inch. Actually, I can get this out of the way now. I find this great for sheet goods, terribly inconvenient when you're doing small stuff. Now, we don't need them that wide. They look to be straight, so I'm going to set that for 32nd over 3/4. Drop my blade down. And I don't have to plane off so much. Now that's not perfectly flat, so I'll take that out a little bit more. Saves running over to the joiner. Flip it around, and then trim it down to size. We'll cut these on the bench hook. Sell any t-shirts yet, Megan? Ebby is? Ebby from Utah. Who did he recently run into?
Brian Balls?
No. He was somewhere and somebody sent me a note that he met him. But it wasn't in Utah. And it wasn't Brian or Daryl. The Nish brothers. All right, I'm just going to square off this end. Now I'm going to trim that back with the plane, so I'll leave it a little bit long.
Sibby is on from Iceland as well.
Really? Iceland? Is he the...
He's coming in October.
yeah, he's a pilot. It's coming. He and his dad?
No, just him.
I thought he and his father were coming. Oh, no, his father came. Oh, yeah, father came to the show. Toronto. Was that this past one where I was sick as a dog?
Yeah.
I wasn't much of a host.
Are you going to tape those on?
Why is Ahmed
Ahmed's probably watching.
talking about it?
He is.
No, I'm not using tape, Ahmed.
Why not?
Somebody wants you to explain the difference between a bench crosscut and a joinery crosscut.
A bench crosscut. Oh, the saws. Well, I should be using my joinery my bench crosscut for this.
You're gonna have to repeat the questions because
Sorry. Okay.
Ken's not using
Ken,
the mic.
don't you have a... Yeah, you got to go over there with your mic. So there's the two different crosscut saws that we offer. This is new, and I haven't gotten used to using it. Had this one for a long time. I love this saw. Liking this more all the time. This is for what I'm doing right now. This is for joints. And like I said, I haven't gotten accustomed to using it because we haven't had it for that long. Now, I'm just going to hit that with the plane real quick and get rid of saw marks. Check my projection. We had probably the best seminar. Wasn't a workshop, it was a seminar down in Orlando last weekend?
Yep.
No, the weekend before.
No.
Last weekend. Great turnout, great questions. Met some awesome people. It was wonderful.
Ahmed should be shaming you for not taping this.
I got a little, what did I do with my glue? I got a little split right there I got to deal with right now. I'll show you what we're going to do with it. I just noticed a little split in the MDF. See that little crack right there? So we'll clamp that down. Good thing is a piece of wood's going to be glued on there, so it'll be...
You were talking about the saws. Do you actually explain the difference between the two?
Oh, did I? Okay. Focus here, Jake. So, the joinery crosscut, the blade, the usable blade is 10 inches long.
No, what?
The depth is 1.5 inches. There's 15 teeth per inch. That's what the 15 stands for, and the TPI stands for teeth per inch. And they are a crosscut tooth, so they're filed. This side's filed on this angle. This side's filed from this angle. So Those teeth go in and they sever with a three-sided point either side of the kerf, and that gives you a nice clean cut. That's a crosscut tooth. This is a bench crosscut designed for general purpose work. Has a little more depth of cut. You've got 2 inches. The blade is 11 inches long. This saw plate is 20/1000 of an inch. This one is 25, so it's a heavier cut. Brass back is heavier. So it's going to cut a little bit faster. It has 13 teeth per inch instead of 15. Tell me if that's covered what they want. Now, you'd think we're short on glue. I better hit that with the accelerator just to make sure. No, that didn't hold.
Should you put the glue in and then clamp it?
No, because that stuff only works. But what I'll do is I'll clamp it like that, so when the piece goes, actually, the piece on here is going to sit on top of it too, so I'm not even why I'm worried about it. But I need some more glue. I just want to get this in the clamp so it can be drying while we're working on the other piece. There's where I can use a piece of masking tape. Who did? Thank you, Jim. Which one?
No, which teacher?
Which wood is good or wood doing good? So chalk one up for Michaela.
Here.
You got it right here. Pardon? So, I want to talk to you about something we need to do. It dawned on me just the other day, I don't know why it's taken this long to realize this, that we bring these combat wounded vets in, and we really excite them with woodwork, hand tool woodwork. It's so therapeutic. It's just everything about it is fantastic. We send them home with all the tools they need, stones, planes, saws, chisels, mallets, just about everything. And then they get home and there's no bench. And they're trying to do this using table saw, or heaven forbid, a shop. What were those things called, Ken?
Shopsmith?
No. The little rinky-dink
Foldable.
workmate. You can't plane wood and do stuff like that using something like that. And I thought, we have got to provide a bench for these guys.
Why don't you just tape it?
So,
Are you going to tape it?
oh yeah, I got to make Med happy. I don't want him coming up here chasing me. So what we're doing is we're looking for volunteers. And what the volunteer is going to be asked to do is once a year, he's going to make one of our $100 benches and ship it to a vet. So when he comes home from the class, there'll be a bench waiting for him. I'll provide you with the expensive stuff, the vise, the bench dogs. You just got to buy the MDF and the plywood and build the bench. Shipping's not that bad. I've had numerous people say, count me in, I want to be part of that. So if that sounds like something you'd like to do, I need 36 people. And I can just imagine how thrilled these guys will be to come home and to have a bench sitting there waiting for them. It just makes this that much better. Now, I'm making sure that I've got a little bit of excess material on both ends. I should have rubbed that last piece to spread the glue a little bit. I'm going to end up putting some clamps on this. Now this yellow tape I'm using is automotive, Ken? So it's heavier duty than the painter's tape that I'm usually using.
You wouldn't want to put it on anything with a finish on it.
No? Because it,
Take it off.
No faith in Ahmed is what you're saying.
oh, I trust his judgment in restaurants, shooting.
But bench hooks, he's just not trusted.
Well, he's a power tool guy
Did you hear
in
that,
the
Ahmed?
process of being converted. Now I'm just checking to make sure that we've got excess material on both sides. All right. Do I dare leave that?
Yes, there's squeeze out.
All right. If it fails,
Norman Olson wants to know, is tape better than, say, Rockler rubber clamps?
well, Ahmed, you can answer that. Okay. Now we'll make a cleat to catch on the front, and we'll do something like that. We're not going to bother with that little bit. We'll cut a rabbet in it so that it covers this end, and it covers the end grain of that, and it reaches down there. So that piece may as well go with the same piece we have here. So we need 1 5/8 inches. 1 5/8 by 15.5.
Do you know the cost
Of what?
shipping the bench?
Pardon?
The cost would be like the average cost to ship a bench.
To ship the bench? Well, we can. I just got a quote for one of the vets that wants to buy one of the benches, and we can ship the bench right from here, which is we're sitting on the east coast of Canada, right in the ocean, and he's in Seattle. And the cost to ship that completed bench was, do you remember, Jake?
I didn't get it.
I think it was $350. So if you were in the States and shipping it to another point in the United States, it would be less than that. I would be willing to bet that it would be half of that. The minute you cross the border, it bumps up the price. All right, so 1 5/8. Now I should cut this piece while I'm at it. What's the 2-inch?
I don't think this is thick enough.
Yeah, it is.
What's this at the end?
I can get rid of it. I saw it too. Now you know what I do need to do? I need to put I need to band the back side. I'm going to cut that off. Okay, so what we're going to do here, we may as well leave that full length, and we'll just cut it down. Oh, wait a minute now. Wrong piece. No, it's close enough. So I'm just going to draw on the end what we're going to do.
You probably need a red pen.
Pardon?
I think you need a red pen on walnut.
I just got
There's
to
one on
think
the
about
floor.
what we're doing.
There.
Thank you. I have one that works.
Thanks.
So we'll leave a 1/4 inch piece out here, and then we're going to come down 3/4 of an inch. We'll go a little bit more than that so that we can flush it off at the top. All right, so we're going to remove that material. So we want 1/4 of an inch. Get the height right. Now, I don't want to do it like this because then you got that piece trapped in there and it ends up being a bullet. So I'll turn it this way so that our offcut is laying on the outside. However, I put my mark. Now, it's easier just to trial and error. What I'm looking at is, I don't know if you can see, but it's not quite deep enough. It's got to come a little bit more. Now I want to make sure that we don't have anything in the corner that's going to prevent that from seating properly. So what I'll do, easiest way to do it is just take my chisel, run it flat along the bottom like so. Now when you get out here it's difficult, so you just turn and come back the other way. Then we'll turn around and lay it like that and do the same thing, registering it flat. This is why your backs of your chisels need to be flat in order for this to work. And then what you see is a little piece of material coming off that would have otherwise prevented that from sitting properly. Is Luther on? Did you know?
Nope.
How many people are we out on tonight? We were late. We apologize. We were late in getting this notice out for this. Everybody's been away. Just got back from Florida. Those guys were gone for 3 weeks. Okay, so there's our front piece. Now, we'll process this one. You know what I forgot about this is I need to have a reference on here. You'll see why when we do it. So I'm going to have to make that. We could glue that piece on now. How best to do it. The reason is we're going to cut this piece. In order to get this perfect, we're going to cut a 45 on here. We're going to go in and we're going to shoot that on both sides so that it's exact 45. When we put it back together, we're actually going to squeeze the blade in between it so that everything lines up, and then we're going to have a piece over here. We're going to cut that off. We're going to shoot both ends of that, and we're going to squeeze that together. If we have a little shallow rabbet here, what that will do is when we put this piece back on, it'll line everything up. Now what I could do is glue a piece on the back that would hang over and do the same thing, but is it going to interfere with how we're going to make our cut? And I'm afraid it is. So I think, I might add that after the fact. So let's go ahead and process this first. I'm going to use my shooting board to straighten it out. Are you guys just being quiet? Are you answering all the questions, or is everybody asleep? What's going on?
Nope.
No?
We have about 430.
How are our donations for PHP? Do I need to stop and do a plea? What's that mean? Yes, I do need to? Okay, guys. I need to highlight somebody. Did we talk about Dave last time?
Cute.
Coop? All right, I'm going to tell you a story. We're stopping and taking a break. So, what class was this, Jake? Do you remember?
The last one we did in Niagara Falls.
No, it was? So, this was in the fall of 2019. 18. Here's the class. That's Bobbert. This is Brad, our good friend down in Nashville. Bill, a lot of these guys. So this guy
Michael.
right here,
Mike.
here, Mike, yeah, Mike's a huge supporter of our Purple Heart Project. I'm not sure who this criminal is out in the end.
Oh my gosh, that was someone at Heartland Forest that just slipped in.
Yeah, photobomb. This man's name is Dave. His nickname was Coop. World War II. He would love hearing that. Vietnam vet. While over there, got shot 3 times. As a result of field surgery, ended up with gangrene. And he figures they never ever did put all the pieces back together right, because ever since then, his stomach hasn't been right. He can't lay down to sleep, so he has to sleep in a chair. Now, a little bit more before I get into the rest of it. Dave has 9 children. He lives in the middle of Utah, suffers from PTSD, something they didn't diagnose till just recently. But Dave has, of his 9 children, he has 3 boys. One was serving in Iraq and was killed. One lost both legs in an IED explosion in Iraq, and he has one boy that, as of when we were shooting, or when we were in the workshop, was still serving in Afghanistan. This is somebody that has done his part. So, come Friday, we were there Monday to Friday. Come Friday, I find out that Dave had spent the entire week trying to sleep. I want to have a visual effect here. A hard wooden chair, never one to complain, trying to sleep on a hard wooden chair like this. And I saw it and I said, why didn't somebody tell me? So we dug around and we found this IKEA wooden chair that
They
rocks
make the
back.
best furniture.
Huh?
They make the best furniture.
Yeah, all right. Really comfortable. I didn't bother asking to borrow it. Formalities could take place later. We got it to him. Saturday morning, we went in to get him. He said, Rob, that was the best sleep I've ever had. I said, Dave, you hadn't slept all week. You could have slept on a rock. Anyway, Coop is a good man. And he deserved everything we could do for him. And I got a really touching letter from his wife a week later who thanked us. Said that he never felt like he or any of the guys he served with were ever shown any appreciation for what they did until he came to our class. And the way these other vets took care of him, he said it was like bringing 7 or 6 extra wives with him. But they just, the level of appreciation and respect that those guys showed for him was just over the top. It made me so proud. Great bunch. Absolutely fantastic bunch. So if you want to know who you're helping to support, that's just one of them. And I'll try to focus on at least one every time we do this. I've got a lot more pictures out in the other room.
Jack Lane bought t-shirts, and so did Jeff Church.
Oh, Jeff. Jeff's on there. Jeff just...
That's 2 students.
Huh?
That's 2 students.
Yes. One of those saws that I showed earlier is for Jeff. Now, did you say Jack Lane?
Yes.
Thank you, Jack. Jack's a big supporter. Let me know how you're making out, Jack, with all your contacts. Now, I don't know why that's not biting, but now it is. Now, I want to check that, make sure it's square. And it's terribly out. Why was that not? That's better. And we'll do the other side.
That looks like you're going against the grain. It looks like you're going against the grain.
Nope, lovely and smooth. Okay, now we need to cut that fairly close to length. We'll go about 15 and a half. I want to get rid of that broken end.
Wait a second. Which one is this?
This is the back cleat, the one that we work against.
I know. So why are you going the full length?
Pardon? It's going this way.
Yeah. Why are you going the full length?
What are you talking
That
about?
doesn't go full length.
Yeah. You showing off now? What'll make you happy? 13 3/4, 13 and a half? That's even better. Now we can get rid of that crack I was worried about. Expect me to keep all this stuff in my head? I gotta go up to this one because it's a little bit bigger. Have we had any donations?
Oh yeah.
Have we taken care of a vet yet? Close? Maybe if one comes from next door? Okay. Now, how are we going to do this, Jake? We could clamp a piece on the back side. But let's go ahead and cut a 45 on this. I'll use my combination square.
What for?
Huh?
What for?
To lay it out.
I know, but you're just gonna use the
Miter saw.
curve, aren't you?
Hmm?
Aren't you just gonna use that curve?
No, I'm going to do this over in the chop saw.
Jack Lane says the Air Force Wounded Warrior Division reached out to him. They want to talk about referring wounded airmen.
Good. Somebody cuts a lot of brass on this saw. One of the reasons why I don't like a chop saw, especially on small pieces, do you see how much area where there's no support? And this piece, from just pieces getting banged, isn't even touching. You can see how much of a gap there is. Not my favorite tool. It's all right for rough cutting, but not for precision work.
Why do you have 3 straight lines and just 145 on yours?
On that other one,
Yeah.
because one of them got, well, if you look at that real close, you see how just from being used, it got so beat up, chewed up. It wasn't giving you very much support, so I just kept making newer ones. That's why it's time to make another one, even though we're going to give this one away. Now I need my 45. Pull that blade in a little bit. No, this is sliding.
Just
My
wait.
bench
Just
dog.
close in the vise.
Pardon?
Oh.
I just put that right there.
That's still too heavy.
Check that. What am I doing? How am I going to get that on there?
No, go back the other way. No, go on the long side.
Right here. Took a while, but I got it. Okay, that does not. Well, there's just some stuff right there that's in the way. Now, I don't know whether I can trust that exactly, so I'm going to grab another one and just see if both of them are reading the same way. Because I think my shooting board might be out. Now, this both say that the point is just a little bit sticking out a little bit too far. So
That might be too thick.
we'll hold that out. Why is that not biting? Do I need to sharpen?
Yeah.
Have you got it?
On Tennessee.
Pardon?
George Barber.
George Barber's on
Hey,
Tennessee.
George. Have I got a sharp one sitting there?
Mm-mm.
Okay, well, let's have a quick sharpening lesson. Not everybody here has watched 1,000 times, so you may not have seen this before. I'm going to use Jake's favorite method, which is the Sharpening lapping plate. I'm going to go in here. This is a 16,000 grit stone. Why is
That's
that not
flat.
sitting flat?
I don't know, but it's flat.
Go in there and spend a few seconds flattening it. Then I'll come over here. This is a 500 grit. You can use a 1,000. Set the blade down on the primary bevel. That's the primary bevel. Get 4 fingers right out on the cutting edge. I squeeze my right thumb between my left thumb and my left index finger to tie them together. Locate the primary bevel. That's the advantage of a wide blade. You have a big, wide bevel. Now, you don't need to polish all the bevel, so what we're going to do is raise it up 3 or 4 degrees, lock it there, and then pivoting from my shoulder, that's why my station is down low, locking wrist and elbow. I'll spend about 10 seconds working on what we call a secondary bevel. And we'll do this, as I mentioned, for 10 seconds, or until we can detect a slight burr on the back side of the blade, at which time we're finished with that one. And we're going to come over here. I need a rag. How's your handle, Ken? So much easier to take it off now than it is to wipe it off later. On this stone, which is a 16,000, we're going to do the same thing we did over here, with the only difference being we're going to raise up a little bit higher. So if I came up 3 degrees off of the primary bevel for a total of about 28 or 29, I'm going to come up a few more degrees over here. Park it, pivoting from my shoulder, spend 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. At the end of 10 seconds, put a little bit of extra pressure on one corner for 3 seconds, and then the opposite corner for 3 seconds. So what I did was just push like that, push like that. Last step, using a steel rule. This is a nice one we now have. There are no graduations on there, so it's a little bit smoother operation. Put that on there, lay it down. Stay on the within a quarter of an inch of the opposite edge. Blade elevated less than a degree by the little steel rule. Prevents us from having to flatten and polish the entire back. Instead, we just spend 3 seconds, in this case, deburring, because we've already, from the initial preparation phase, put a little back bevel on there. So our finished edge is 16,000 grit. Stone's expensive, but it's well worth it. Those stones make all these edge tools work. So evaluate how well your tools are going to work based on how good your sharpening stones are. If you need any extra encouragement to buy the best. Snug that up. Now I've got that sitting back about a 32nd of an inch. Make sure there's no debris on the face of the frog. The frog is this piece right here that supports the blade at 45 degrees, supports the blade and holds it at 45 degrees to the wood. Set that in there, making sure that the yoke makes it into that little rectangular hole. The bearing on the end of the lateral adjustment lever makes it into that long slot in the blade. Put the lever cap on, cock that into position. Now you want it tight enough that it won't move accidentally when you're using the plane, but not so tight that you can't make adjustments. Now, wipe one way, sight down the sole so that the blade, by looking at it, appears to be parallel to the sole. Now we can go in there. All right, let's check that. Just
Couple
gonna.
of people are asking about the trend diamond plate. Have you abandoned that?
That always happens. No, I haven't. So let me stop a second and explain. There's my trend diamond plate right here. This is such a hard thing to do, to sometimes tell. If you want to use the Sharpening is the best. This is the Sharpening lapping plate. And I'll try to tell this story quickly. I used to use all Sharpening. In 2006, I was converted from Norton to Sharpening, and the difference was day and night. I used the Sharpening lapping plate, the Sharpening 1000 grit stone, the Sharpening 16,000 grit stone, beautiful results. Converted everybody I talked to. And then in 2009 or 10, I can't remember, it was Christmas, this month of December, Sharpening raised the price 30% overnight, and it clobbered us. Now you're telling people that you got to go out and spend $1,100, $1,200 on a sharpening system. Well, I'd gone from selling Lee Nielsen planes, which in Canada were costing $500. People didn't mind spending twice that on a sharpening system, to working with Woodcraft, selling Wood Rivers, which at the time were in the $150, $175 range. And hitting them with a $1,200 sharpening system was a game changer. Well, if you'll notice, this lapping plate, which is glass with diamond in it, it's extremely flat, and the only thing you use it for is keeping the ceramic stones flat. And its grit size is somewhere between 270 and 325. I was doing a wood show over in England, and the guy that developed this came by and said, "Rob, I want to show you something." And he showed me this diamond plate. Well, this diamond plate is double-sided. It has a 1,000 grit side, and it has a 300 grit side. And because it's diamond, it will cut ceramic. And I got thinking about that.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll cut ceramic. Because it's 300, that's awful close to what the grit size was on this. Well, I tried it. So this one stone, which we sell for $140, would replace the lapping plate at $380. It would replace the 1,000 grit stone and the holder, which is $110 and $60, $170, because you have your 1,000 grit over here and it's heavy enough it doesn't need a holder, nor does it flex. Well, that made this far more palatable. However, the difference is that this is not as flat as that. The only time you really notice it is when you do the back of a chisel, and then it's really noticeable. But like I said, how are you going to convince people to spend that kind of money? So you can use either system. Jake's forever wanting to use this because we prepare chisels and planes for people all the time. And it was there, and I use it, and I love it. But I travel with and use my trend. So no, I haven't abandoned it. I still think for the money, it's probably your best bet for the money. If you want the absolute best performance, then you have to go with the Sharpening. But you've got to be willing to part with. What's that system cost?
It's a
Say that's 200, 420, and that is 420.
How are you getting 420?
150
Oh.
and 60 is 210, 310, 410, and another 10 on each of those is 430. Plus that, you're looking at $800. Now I'm going to go in here. This was just a little bit.
The advantage to the trend system is that the trend is a good stone to have.
Well, it's a great piece of kit because it's almost indestructible. All right. Now, got to do the same thing with this piece. This one is going to have to, it's not going to be exact, is it? I'm going to have to actually fit this once it's in place. Now, I need that to be square, and I didn't check it. That's pretty good. So that's going to...
Richard Cook bought T-shirts.
Thank you,
So
Richard.
did Norman Olson.
Norman did too?
Yes.
Thank you, Norman.
You're going the wrong way.
No. Well, yes.
Thomas
We'll
Papa,
go like that.
I'm probably butchering that, also bought t-shirts.
We'll go in and we'll fit these when we put them in place. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, how long's that been sitting in the, how long has that been
Long
there?
enough. Well, check the glue.
And Gary
Soft.
Burnett.
Oh,
Hey, Gary. Gary's one of our,
No.
What?
He is, but no, there's no
yeah,
picture.
not in that class. Gary was in our class in this year. It was the first class we had
He
here.
was in Danny's
He
class,
was in Danny's class, with Danny Bell.
which would be the last class.
And David Davey just bought one too.
Who?
David Davey?
David Davey. Thanks, David. What can I do before I get that? I suppose I can go ahead and cut this piece.
You just gotta plan up the other band.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and cut this piece. I'm going to do it on here, though. Again, small piece. I don't want to have to go over there and... Right. Now, I need a bigger bench. Ken, I need a bigger bench.
Here goes
I
another
need-
200 episodes.
We'll get right on that.
I'll be like you. How many benches you have?
One.
No, you don't. There's 3, 4.
Oh, yeah, well. We share,
What?
we share them.
All right. Pull that out from the fence.
Didn't realize they were all yours.
A little bit more.
Now that I know.
Can't tell you why that squeals like that sometimes. That blade doesn't look to be cutting square.
Oh,
What was that, chisel? Landed on the cushion.
yeah, but you know what landed in the cushion?
Huh?
Somebody wants to know
That's not
if
cut.
you've considered expanding the Purple Heart Project or partnering with the VA or Veterans Affairs
No.
Canada.
I don't want anything to do with the government.
That's
Absolutely
not cutting
nothing.
it square. No, I mean this way.
Tell us what you really think.
Yeah, I just did. No, they haven't done anything yet. I'm not expecting anything. I don't want anything. I've come to
Wait.
realize that the best way to find the people that we need is to tell everybody. That's why I say get one of these T-shirts and start talking about it. The guys that we're looking for to help the most don't leave their home. They're not going to places that the government's going to have access to them. They're holed up at home. They're dealing with all kinds of stuff. And it's when you tell enough people, sooner or later somebody says, you know what, I got a nephew I haven't seen in 3 years. And that's how we find them. So, thanks, but no thanks to the government.
Hey.
I'd love to tell you.
Chamfer.
I'd love to tell you a story, but I probably best not.
How are you gonna find that?
Is this is a short piece going to be
How?
difficult. And I need to. That goes right there, so I need to cut the chamfer on here first. Is Tony on?
I haven't seen him, no.
Is Paul on?
Haven't seen it either.
Paul's with Tony down in Aussie land. All right, so there's our 3 pieces. I'm tempted to go in and cut a rabbit on those.
Why don't you do it?
I may, but I'm going to clean this place up a little bit and go to work on getting that ready. I want to get this finished tonight
Okay, well, we're at an hour and 5.
so I can slow down. Take a breather. No questions?
Someone asked, "What's a good budget dovetail saw?"
Ken, do we have a good budget dovetail saw?
There's no such thing as a
Yeah.
good budget.
Have we got a screw up?
Oh, yeah. Well, we got one that you
Wait.
screwed up while I was away.
Oh.
I did.
Oh, the truth comes
What?
out.
Do you want to go? Do you want to run out and grab those? You know which ones I'm talking about? There's a medium tenon out there that's screwed up.
Yeah.
Is there a dovetail? Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Crack in the handle. You want to bring those up? They're sitting up on top. Yeah, I got a dovetail saw for you. Every once in a while, somebody sneaks in here at night and screws something up. And we, instead of throwing it out, we sell it at a discount. It's fully functional. Cosmetically, it might be a little bit flawed. So as Ken was saying, I was building tenon saws, and I went and turned it around so that the engraving was on the wrong side. And then when you put it into the handle, it gets,
This is a joinery crosscut we got up top.
yeah? Is it just one? Okay. So here's for sale. These are normally $250. We sell them for half. We sell them not for half. We sell them for $200. So this is a joinery crosscut. It was all ready to put in the box, and I happened to notice that there's a little crack right there. Now the nice thing about this stuff is it's really tough. Doesn't go over to here. It's just right there. It'll stay together. It'll never come apart. If it does, I'll replace it. So anybody wants that? $200. Here is a. These are just absent of the box. They just haven't been cleaned up. Here's a medium tenon, perfectly good saw, brand new. But the engraving is supposed to be over here. See, it gets hidden in there. Medium
That's
tenon.
a left-handed.
Yeah, left-handed. That's right. That's for Super Dave. So this one is a. This one is instead of two.
It's 230.
So instead of what?
280.
Instead of 280, it's 230. $50 off. Take that, please. And there's your inexpensive dovetail saw. When I was doing something, I bumped it right there, and there's a little bit of a. You can hardly even feel it. It doesn't affect it at all. Other than that brand new saw, a little wee dent right in there. But the
Are you
blade.
sure that's a dovetail?
Oh yeah, that's a crosscut, Ken. It says dovetail. So that was the other problem too. So we'll take another $25 off. This is a double screw up. That blade is in a dovetail brass. It's supposed to be a crosscut. So instead of being 200, that one will be 175. We're almost giving it away. Any more? No,
So I guess you don't have a
I
budget
don't have a
dovetail.
budget dovetail, but every once in a while we screw up something. Actually, I know I got some more there.
Once in a while.
Put your name down. We'll save you the next one. But other than that, would I recommend any of the dovetail saw? No. If I thought there was, I wouldn't have bothered making one. I started making dovetail saws because there was nothing out there that was ready out of the box that anybody could use and make a perfectly straight cut. I'll give you a quick little demo so you'll know.
Oh,
What? It's going to be quick. Here's how you test to make sure that your dovetail saw is working the way it's supposed to be. And if it doesn't do this, then you're in trouble because you're wasting your time. I normally would like to use a piece
here.
of. I want something a little bit thicker. Here's a piece of pine. When I'm at a demo, I get somebody to come up who's never used a dovetail saw ever in their life to do this little test just to prove. Now cut that piece off. So the whole idea is you want a saw that will provide you with two surfaces that are ready to join together. That means they have to be flat, they have to be smooth. Tell you something really quick. The straighter your saw cuts, the flatter will be the two sides of the kerf. Flat and straight interact that way. So here's what happens. When you put the two pieces back together, you end up with an invisible glue joint. If you spin it around so that you're not matching grooves, you end up with an invisible glue joint. So now when the side of the pin and the side of the tail meet, you end up with a perfect glue joint. You don't have to touch it with a chisel. You don't want to touch it with a chisel. If your saw doesn't do that, you have the wrong saw. You're wasting your time. So get the right saw. Bite the bullet, spend the money. You never regret it. You only cry once. Right? All right, Ahmed.
He's gone.
He's gone?
He left.
Go back to work.
Yeah, he took off before we tested his method. The masking clamp. May as well leave those ones on until we're ready. So what we'll do now is put that against it. It could have stayed in the clamp a little bit longer, but unfortunately you guys aren't going to willing to stay here all night. Now, I already adjusted this so it would be square in that shooting board. So now I'm having to go in and readjust it. Pull the blade in. A little heavier down on this end. This is just for looks. We didn't have to ban this, but since we're giving it away, I thought we'd make it a little fancier. Your thumb and your finger can determine a thousandth of an inch, so I keep checking with both, or I shouldn't say with both, with my thumb to determine where I need to remove material. Spot right there where it's not quite flush. Flush.
What brand is your end vise?
What?
What brand is your end vise?
This is our own. Ken, would you be so kind?
As to,
Grab those, our vices, too. We show them. Now, sometimes rather than risk getting glue in my throat of my plane, I'll just come in there and scrape that off first. When's our plane wax coming, Jake?
It's in production.
Can we make any announcements, Frick, in terms of the bench video?
Well, everything is done on our end except the trailer, which we filmed today. And we have sent all the data off. We're just waiting for the DVDs to come back. And then we'll be good to go.
So sometime in the next week?
I would say 2 weeks to be safe, but
Oh, come on, you keep saying that. It's
well,
gotta be sooner than
it's
that.
out of our hands now. That's the problem.
So we shot a new video. It's 4.5 hours long
Here's the vise.
on building our bench. Oh yeah, here they are. So we have these custom made by a friend of mine in Ontario. They're beefy. It uses a double start thread. That means whereas a normal bench vise, you got to turn it sometimes as many as 6 rotations to move an inch. This moves an inch in 2 rotations. This is the tail vise end. That's why it's squared off, so it'll make for a narrow slot. And this is the shoulder vise. Has a big nut so that it doesn't droop when it's all the way out. Great pieces of hardware. Expensive. They're $500 each. But if you're looking to make a really good bench and you want great hardware, don't bother trying to find it anywhere because they're just nothing out there. That's why we end up having to get it made. I might have to write Ahmed and tell him his system worked. I'm a little nervous because that glue is wet.
Yeah, but it's only wet under the tape.
Well, if it's wet under the tape, where else do you think it's wet?
Meh.
Under the wood. Like I said, it's only decoration. I don't want it coming off. Now, when I'm doing this, and this is a, I'm cutting there. When you're banding plywood, you got to be really careful. I'm always looking down in the throat of the plane to see what's happening. I'll try to keep the corner of the blade as close to the wood as possible. Lots of pressure out here so that you're not dipping. So as you start the plane, you're going to take off this inside edge first, and you're going to eventually work your way out. And by the time you get out here, you should be flush with the substrate. Keep checking it with your thumb. Now, I'm going to have to come back a little bit more because I've got some glue to get rid of. And this is a little nerve-wracking. When you're doing this with hardwood plywood, you don't want to cut into your veneer. You can use a block plane. Sometimes it'll give you a little more control just because it's smaller and a little easier to balance. When I'm starting right here, I don't have any surface to reference off of, so I'm having to literally balance it in midair. Okay, that feels good. Now we'll flip that one over. Now you'll notice too that I had the board off the bench so that it's not sitting on that high spot. Now that it's flush on the bottoms. What?
Isn't it? Oh,
Well, this is high, right?
Yeah.
A, I don't want the glue on here, and B, especially if you're dealing with thinner stock, it's going to throw the whole thing off because it's not going to lay flat.
You didn't finish the video?
Huh?
Oh, the
Promo?
blurb of the video.
Oh, the video. So Luther and I did a finished 4.5 hour video on building that bench that I designed 9 years ago. And the video covers all aspects of the construction so that you can literally watch it and build it. It includes a cut list and what version of PDF? Or a PDF version of the SketchUp.
Plans? No, the plan.
Plan, sorry. But there will be for purchase a SketchUp plan. Thanks to, was it Joe?
Tom.
Tom? Right.
Tom.
Sorry.
Dugan.
Danny's kids say goodnight.
Night, guys. Sleep tight.
Same goes to Felix.
Yeah. Yeah, Dave says to say goodnight to Felix.
He'll see him in the morning.
Yeah. Stay dry. Where's Soup? He hasn't spoken up. I'm going to use a block plane on
Sue
here.
B is on.
Sue down in Florida is trying to quit smoking. So everybody send out some encouragement to her. Sue, let me know how you're doing.
What do you want?
I haven't
Anyth-
seen her tonight.
Huh?
I haven't seen her tonight.
She just
thought you said she was on.
She just donated.
Did she? Thanks, Sue. We're going to get her off those cigarettes.
Whether she wants to or not.
Absolutely. We went to lunch. She went to lunch with us. What was the name of that place? So if you're ever in and around Orlando,
North Orlando.
North Orlando, and you're looking for a good place for lunch, Athena Catering.
No, it's a Greek place.
Yeah, great food, reasonably priced. We did lunch there 2 days in a row. Now, I don't know about you, but I appreciate when I find out stuff like that because there's nothing worse than experimenting somewhere for lunch when I'm hungry. Okay, that's flush. Now, if you're wondering why I was using the block plane, that's not flush. Take another pass. Dragging my fingernail like that, I can tell. See that? I'm catching my... Flip that over. Now, you don't have a lot of reference surface on this, so I'm pushing down hard with my left palm so that the plane references on this, not back here, and I'm not tipping down. I want to plane this way until it eventually sits down and results in a flush.
Oh, Sue is here.
Okay. Now we'll go ahead and flush that up real quick. Or not flush it up, just clean it up.
Hopefully we finish it further than this. We're at the hour and 20 mark, and so far we have a piece of walnut banded MDF.
Yeah? What's your complaint? Now, this piece is ready to put on. Now, you know what I'm going to do? I'll use a chop saw. This is on the bottom. Do we have a preference? One look any better than the other? This looks better. No. Mark there where we bumped it. So we'll put it like that. Now I'm not 100% happy with the way that looks. So what I'm going to do is come in here and I'm going to use my Lee Nelson bench rabbiting plane. Now, unlike most planes, the blade stops back here somewhere, but this one, the blade goes right to the edge. So that's going to allow me to go in. Actually, the grain's running this way, so I've got to go in this direction. Make sure that sits down. That means I need to have it flush on this side. So the blade is always, anytime in a rabbiting plane or a shoulder plane, the blade is always going to be wider than the body of the tool. So in order to flush it up on this side, I'm going to lay it like that, push that down, and now that's flush. Sight down there. I need to get that blade parallel to the sole. And you really have to develop the ability to look at that by eye and tell. Double check to make sure that that stayed where it needed to be. This plane actually has tilting handles. I don't need to use it in this application. Move this, please. 1, 2. Now, since I did that one, I'm going to do this one as well. And that should keep everything square, but I got to go in and use this side. So we'll come in here. Now, you could do this with a shoulder plane just as well. I just happen to like this. It has a little more mass, a little more reference surface. So I want to keep that tight. I want to keep this surface tight to this surface so that this square makeup of the plane produces a square section in here. And if you may not have noticed, but I only took a shaving on the inside, so that wasn't square. Probably the result of run out on the table saw. keep doing that until I get a full width pass, which I think I got. I don't see any saw marks. Now let's check that again. All right, beautiful fit. That's what we want. So, before we build that or put that in, let's go ahead and finish some of these surfaces off that are easier to do now before we assemble.
Do you know if Wood River's planning on coming out with any more joinery planes in the future?
I quit trying to second guess what they were doing. I can't follow them. So sorry, no, I don't know. Should we go ahead and cut that pass now or do it after? We'll do it after. So what we'll do here, we can take off a little bit of material now rather than hog it all off later when it'll be a little more awkward. 5.5. Hold it like that.
It's a little heavy.
Yeah, it was.
What is it?
I might be able to actually keep that. Okay. We clamp here, here, and here, and then a couple clamps down there, and that'll do it. Not much conversation going on. Do we have anybody left watching?
Yep.
What are our numbers?
Our current number is 534.
That's 534 dedicated woodworkers who spend their Saturday night.
They're stuck inside anyway.
Oh, yeah,
There's
right.
nothing to do anymore.
So our contribution to this current episode of whatever you want to call it is, we're going to try to produce and publish one YouTube video a day. Is that what we're doing, Jake?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah, that involves you too, Frick.
I still have to go to work.
You what?
I still have to go to work, remember?
No,
That's
you don't. have
That's
to go
all
to
right.
work.
When you get home, you have lots of time.
Yeah. Hockey's done. Kids are mad at you for bringing them home from Florida.
That's true.
Somebody's watching from Slovenia. It's 2:33 in the morning there.
That's dedication. Who is it?
Matet?
Jalovican? Probably butchered that, sorry.
What's that?
Probably butchered his name there, but
Somebody's asking about the wooden boxes that would be offered for sale. Said that she hasn't seen any. When will they be offered? Available?
Wooden boxes,
Saw boxes.
saw boxes. Oh, well, why don't you answer that, Ken?
Well, they're available now. Are they on the site?
No. Have you got any ready?
Yeah. There's a half dozen
What
out
do you-
there already.
What do you want to do about the saws? People speaking up? Do you want them to email you? What do you want them to do?
Email him.
the damaged
Email.
ones. Yeah.
Email Rob at RobCosman.com. And Jake will figure out a way to build them.
Rex is on.
Rex, my son?
Yeah.
Rexy boy.
saying that Frick can't go back to work for 2 weeks. He's got to quarantine himself.
That rule unfortunately doesn't apply to New Brunswick if you visit the United States. If you visit the affected areas, it does, but
That's enough.
not the U.S.
Okay, so once that's dry, we'll give it. We're going to be pressed for time on that one. Now, so the next thing we got to do is put our back piece on. And what I have to determine is how we're going to do that.
You said you were going to cut around.
I know what I said. But if we do that, shoot. Really need to put that band on first. We put that band on, then we can apply this, or we can cut a rabbit, right? The reason I want to cut a rabbit is so when we put these pieces on, they line up. So if there's a rabbit cut on the bottom, which would leave just a little edge, I'll show you what I mean. If we cut a shallow rabbit, so I'm talking about removing this material, leaving a little rabbit right there. Then when we set that piece on, it references off that back edge so that all of these pieces line up. What we want to do is, this one is done. We'll go in and glue this one in place. We put the saw. We set the saw like this, and we sandwich the next one next to it like that. Line it up perfectly. Oh, didn't get all that off. And then we do the same thing out here. And then when we go to use it, there's zero clearance, or very close to zero clearance. So, ideas.
Well, can't you just... What if you put on the MDF sleeve over the blade?
Huh?
Put the MDF sleeve on over the table saw
Yeah.
and just expose enough of the blade to create that rabbit and then run all the pieces through.
But I'm thinking of what we're going to do right here. If we go ahead and put that band on right there, if we put this band on and then we put that on and there's just a little rabbit on there, that'll still look relatively neat because it'll be walnut on walnut. Because this is only going to hang down just a little bit. Now, the problem is, now I'm going to have to cut a rabbit in something like this, which is extremely dangerous. I don't mind doing it with these pieces. We can run that through. Actually, for that matter, you know what? We don't have to cut it all the way up to here. We can cut it right to there. It doesn't matter if this is hanging out over. Doesn't matter at all. We wouldn't have to be working. How are we doing this? Did I do this backwards? Am I just not thinking it through? No, it's like this.
Yeah.
It works like this.
I don't think it should be a very... I think it should be a small rabbit. That's not it. That's
That
it.
doesn't look like it either.
Doesn't look like it's square.
Well, we don't have to worry about it. This piece needs to be square. This one will be square up to it after the fact. I can cut that now. I can cut this piece. How am I going to do that piece safely? Can't really. Do we have a plan B?
Why not just use a router table with a rabbiting bit or straight bit?
Either way, you're holding on to a... This is how people get hurt. Trying to process a piece of wood that size. It has no mass. So you go over and you're trying to process it, and you've got the force of whatever tool it is you're using, and just wanting to throw that. And the first thing that happens is a bit of vibration, they freak out, and they let go of it, and then it's out of control. Dangerous to work. It would be smarter to actually go and start with another full piece, and then go in, do that dangerous part, and then come in and make your cuts. And with hand tools, you're not dealing with any, essentially no danger.
Somebody wants to know if you ever use hide glue.
No, it stinks. And I've never found a reason why hide glue would be superior to either the white glue or yellow glue. I know they used to use it on veneer a lot, but I've never, like I said, I've never found a reason to.
We
Let's-
get some suggestions here.
Yeah, let's hear them.
Clamp it to a bigger piece.
Climb it to a bigger piece.
Super glue with blue top, all three into one piece. Cut a new piece from the middle one. Super glue to a larger piece.
Start with a fresh piece and put the rabbit in first. Then cut the
Yeah,
part
well, that's
B.
the smart one. Start with a fresh piece. But in order to move forward so we can get this done, I'm going to go in and I'm going to screw that piece on from the bottom side so we can take the clamps off.
Super Dave says, don't you have a long piece of snakewood you can use?
No, Vera.
Well, that's our construction grade wood.
I'm going to use our new screws that we're about to release on the public. And if you don't know about them, you're going to want to find out. I can use 1.25 inches. I'll use number 6s. So as the story goes, every time we go and do a wood show with Super Dave and Kevin, is Kevin on?
Yep.
Kev, our best Bella. We buy we stock up on screws. You see all the bags down in here. And this guy sells the best wood screw I've ever used. If you haven't already seen the difference, I'll show you here real quick. There's what I've been stuck using most of my life. You see how small the threads are? And then I found these. Big coarse thread, lots of distance between them, superior holding power in almost all materials. Has a self-drilling, self-tapping? At least a self-drilling point on it, and has little knives underneath the head, so that, and softwood anyway, it'll countersink itself. Well, people were asking, Joseph, was it Joseph?
Yeah.
Was asking, Rob, where do you get those? So I gave him the contact information. Well, this guy refuses to sell outside the province of Ontario. So we got a hold of the the distributor, and sometime next week we will have those up and ready, and you'll be able to buy them. And they are the best wood screw. They use a Robertson head, but also a Phillips, so you can use both. And they're only number 8s and number 6s, but in sizes from 1/2 inch up to 2 inch on the 6s and 3 inch on the 3s.
Just, we're going to change the battery in the
Wait.
camera, so the video's going to go out for a second.
All right, is the audio still on?
The audio will still be on.
All right, I'll just walk them through. So what I'm going to do is adjust my countersink bit so that I can go in there and I'll just put 4 screws in the bottom. It's going to allow me to get rid of the clamp so we can go to work on this. I'm using 1.25 inches, so we'll set that for the depth. Snug that up. Now I want to stay away from where we're going to be sawing, so I don't ever end up hitting it. Come in about 1 inch. I'm going to stay on the inside just because we're in that MDF. I don't want to be too close to the edge. We can do the same thing right out here in about Now these drill bits, you can see it smoking, are tapered, which is actually better because it follows the shape of the screw. Only problem is it doesn't cut very well and it's really hot. I'm sitting those below the surface so we can go in there and flush that off. Now, which way is this going to go? We're going to be cutting over here, right? So I'll go right about here. And right about here. All right, get these clamps out of here. Now, let's clean this up. First thing I want to do is just plane that. Can't really tell which way I should be going, so we'll just try one, see how it works.
What bits are you using?
For counterbore, countersink.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, I guess.
Where
The one,
did
the
we
one
get
in
those?
the one on the drill.
Hold
Where-
it up for a second.
Where did we get those?
McMaster.
McMaster? Are these the ones? Yeah, they cut really nice. I was quite impressed. Actually, I thought we had carbide ones, Jake.
We did, and they got rusty.
They broke?
They got rusty.
They got rusty?
No, something. They were taken elsewhere.
Where?
I don't know.
What do you mean? Somebody took them?
No, they just wound up in different places.
I don't know what you're trying to tell me.
They're just not in working condition. anymore.
Somebody ruined them.
Yeah, one of them has a broken tip.
And who do we thank?
I don't know.
Dave? Is that why he left and went to New York, Alaska?
Should you have advanced to the blade?
Well, I shouldn't have left quite so much material.
That wasn't your plan. You wound up with the extras because you planed off.
Oh, right. Yeah. Tis a sad day in Canada because of this what is it? Huh?
Coronavirus.
Coronavirus. They've
COVID-19.
closed all our rinks, left us with absolutely nothing to do but work in the shop. Megan is most upset.
Why am I upset?
Because Jake will be home all the time.
I doubt that.
I'll be handing out toilet paper to the masses this week.
We'll be making it here.
Yes.
Feet at a time.
All right, now clean off this end. high enough in the air that we don't have to worry about running into something. I'm going to let that dry a little bit more before I clean off those ends. Now, we've managed to get this far. Now we got to do the back end. So what I'm thinking is we glue this piece on, and then anything we do with this, at least it looks nice and finished because it's got walnut all the way around.
I'm not gonna like the way that walnut looks when it's cut.
The
It's
other
gonna
option
squint
is, and remember, this has to be kept short too, so that you're sawing down into here. The other option is that we start with another piece of walnut, and we cut the rabbet. We got 10 minutes. Let's
Wait a
do
second.
that. What?
Wait a second, come here.
What are you thinking?
Can you put that, where's that band? Oh. I was
Right
gonna say,
here?
what if you had a tall enough band
That you bumped up
that
against that?
actually that's tall enough.
Well, yeah, but then how are you going to flush it up?
Well, I would actually make it taller. And then all you would need to do is cut down there and down along
No,
there.
no, that looks dumb. Sorry. And I don't like that. I don't like that look either. I don't like that look. This really needs to be banded. So it's just like that. Cut a rabbet on the bottom side of this, set it in. I'm going to go do these two. And I'll end up off camera redoing it, and I'm going to do it at a separate piece so that it's done safely. But let's just put this on real quick. In fact, you know what we'll do is we'll put this on with the little
Pin nailer?
Ken. Would you do me a favor and grab me the Grex gun? Especially on walnut, which it's so porous, you won't even see them. I got to cut that down to 3/4. What do we got in there for nails? This is what you might call cabinet work as opposed to furniture, but we are building a bench hook. So what I'm going to do I need 3/4. No, I haven't got my bench hook set up.
Could you clamp the side of the block that you're not rabbiting with a heavier clamp for mass and use it on the router table?
I just, you know what? I've never cut myself. Well, can't say that anymore, can I? All right, so I only cut myself on the table saw once, but I've had accidents as a result of small pieces of wood, and I just don't think that there's many, if any, safe ways of processing it. For the sake of another piece of wood, it's just the best way to go. Now, I'm going to put this on, and I'm going to use this little Grex gun. And if you're looking for a great nail gun, a little pin nailer, it uses a 23 gauge nail. It's so small you can't even see it. I'm going to actually go right into the wood. Push down, let the glue thread, and then hit it. You can go right out here in the edge like that and not fear having it split. It'll sink those down low enough Don't hit the nail, don't pull the trigger too soon. Wait till you see a little bit of glue start to squeeze out. And then when you drive the nail in, it'll hold the gain that you get from the pressure you're applying. Be careful, because it's not uncommon for that little tiny nail to hit something hard and go flying off sideways. In case you're wondering what a 23 gauge looks like, it's a headless nail. That yellow is glue that's heat set. So the friction of when that goes in is sets up the glue. So not only do you have the physical nail, but you also have the glue that's on the nail. And you can buy them in numerous sizes. It's just a great little nail gun. Now, while I've got that on there, I'll go ahead and
Hope that it sunk them deep enough.
Yep. Well, it's not like we've never had to resharpen. Now, they're hardly noticeable. You can see them if you know what you're looking for. Okay, got too many planes. How are we for time? I got 5 minutes. I don't want to take them past the 2-hour mark. We still have to do our draw. Now I don't want that glue on my plane, or more or less in my plane. I'm using the Wood River version of the Stanley 60.5, which is a low angle block. And if you're going to buy a block plane, my recommendation is that you get the low angle, not the standard. You'll find it much more comfortable in your hand, because your top of your lever cap is here instead of up here, so you're behind the blade instead of up on top of it. Much more comfortable. This one's going to get hidden. Just pop that cap up a little bit. I want to retract that blade. But by holding it like that, you're still keeping everything in place. You just take off some of the pressure, so it's easier to adjust. It's flush. Now we'll just trim those. Actually, we'll save both those ends. So let's just let's work with these two pieces. I'm comfortable in cutting those. So we're going to set this like so, right? So our rabbet is going to be cut right here, bottom side. Right here. See if we can do that safely. Probably best to do it in a couple of passes.
I think you need the sleeve on it.
Don't. We're up high enough. I mean, this is high enough. I'm just going to cut not quite the width of the blade. I'll use a block to keep it tight. Raise that up. higher. Go slow so that you don't, you force the blade too much, then you risk causing it to run out. All right, so here's what we would do. That registers that piece. And if we know that this one is 45, which we do, we would glue that in place. Then we're going to get our saw that we typically would use. Actually, are you going to use this one, or are you going to use your bench crosscut? Whichever one you're going to use. Once that is glued in place, then we'll come in here and we'll squeeze that over. But you can tell that that's not touching, so we need to take more off at the end. So
Wait, that you didn't finish planing that one though.
I didn't finish playing that one. This one is done.
No, I mean.
Yeah, that one.
that you need to plane.
That's what I'm getting set up for right now. We could actually screw that down from the top if we wanted to, but we're not going to actually use these pieces. But if we put that in place, make sure it's tight on this side, facing me. Look over here. So we got to actually, yeah, right. I just gotta see when I planed that, that part didn't get cut. So we've got to come in here, redo this. Check it for square.
It probably needs to have that little piece of paper.
It's not square, so I've taken off more at the top than the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise my lateral adjustment lever. That's going to kick the blade down like that and take some material, too much material, off at the bottom. And we'll check it again. Shame we do all this work and then we're going to chew this thing all up first time we use it. Okay, perfect. So what I would do is after this is glued in place, I would come in and I would put that in there and I would glue it right where it is, take my saw out afterwards. And when we remove the saw and we go to use this, we have a slot that is the exact width of that minus a little bit of the set, but it's only 2 thou per side. And it's going to give us a really good cut. Now this one has to be squared up ahead of time as well, because then what we would do is come in here. We would have that set right like that, piece with a rabbit on it, come in and we would plane this one until it fits perfectly. And then we'd end up with a 45 here, a 90 here, and we can always use this out here for just, I wouldn't say rough work, but. All right, so we're going to go ahead. We'll finish this off. We'll sign the bottom. I'll throw a coat of finish on there as well, just to protect it, keep it from getting dirty. I did the same thing with mine. And some lucky son of a gun will get it, and we'll find out in a minute. Do you want to do the draw?
Yep.
Give me some totals, would you please? How many people did we have on tonight? What was our busiest?
Almost 600.
Okay, we're going to try to do this more frequently. Are we able to do another one next Saturday? We got to do our part to occupy everybody during this disruption in our lives. We'll let you know.
All right.
How are we for donations?
Do you want to do the draw, Megan, or do you
Wait a
want
minute before you do that. How are we for donations? Did we get a soldier taken care of? We got one
Yes.
taken care of. Did we get two taken care of?
I added about 20 minutes ago and we had a soldier taken care of. I haven't added since.
All right. Any final questions for us? And we're open to suggestions on what you want to see.
All
I
they're
got it here.
asking about what you're using for finish again.
Oh, come with me, Jake. Let's go real quick.
Can you add that
While you guys are doing that. So the nice thing about this product I'm going to tell you is that you can, on a nice day, you can spray, sand between coats. Actually, scrape. It's so much better. Spray again, scrape one more time, third coat, hour and a half, and you're done. Full cure is probably 24 hours, but it's dry to the touch. Actually, if anything is a disadvantage to it, if I was spraying this bench, this table, if I started down here, by the time I get over there, this is dry and it's subject to overspray. So you can buy retarder, which slows down the drying process. You can buy flattening agent, which, here it is right here, which will dull it down so it's not as shiny. So it's Becker Chroma. And I'm sure you can buy it in smaller containers. This is called a Chroma Pro. So they changed it a little bit. Actually, I think the company changed hands.
It says Becker Chrome on the other side.
Does it? So whatever that is, Bernal, Intro, Clear, Pre-Catalyzed Top Coat, 40 Gloss. So I assume 100% is full gloss. So this is just on the lower side of semi. And that's it. When you open it up, I'll show you what, I'll show you.
Oh, no.
Huh?
I thought it said Becker on the other side. It doesn't.
I don't think it does. I think somebody told me that the company has changed hands. Let me just pop this off real quick. And I've never inquired as to whether or not you can buy smaller containers. I buy it from a professional supply. It's supposed to be low odor, but it stinks. It's a lacquer based. So if you look at the bottom, when you start to stir it, you'll see the flattening agent come up. So you've got to go through, you see it on the end of the stick? You've got to go through and stir that in until it's a nice solid color. If you don't, you'd end up with just gloss. But that's the flattening agent. How long does it last? Well, before we started getting so busy with stuff that we make that we have to put a coat of spray on, we could, I might go through, have 2 years before a pail gets used up. And it would certainly last that long. You definitely want to use a respirator with it. And that's a charcoal filtered respirator. Like I said, the smell is terrible. And that's considered low odor. The other downside is if you're spraying on the inside of a cabinet, you open up the cabinet doors and it's got that acid smell. I'm not doing a very good job selling this to you, but you asked. It's the only lacquer that is certified for use in kitchens in Canada. So it actually gives you some waterproof resistance, which is not a characteristic of lacquer typically. All right, we got what we need?
Yeah, we're ready.
Have we had our last call for donations? T-shirt sales? Did we sell any of those saws, the seconds? Yeah?
Okay, so I have copied and pasted all the names from the
How many people put their name in the hat?
Google sheet. We
Can we go
had,
full screen?
Can you tell?
we did 142.
142 people?
All right, we ready?
Call it out. I can't see it. Can't get over there.
Okay, we shall. There's only the one prize, right?
Yeah.
And the winner of the bench hook is Ray Jelinus.
And where's he from? That name sounds familiar.
Ray Jelinus is from Mackenzie, BC.
Oh, good. Canadian. Congratulations, Ray.
And our donation total was $3,560. So that will pay for a vet.
So we covered a vet and $60 to boot. All right, that's awesome. Thank you very much, folks. I certainly appreciate your help. And we will do several of these during the course of the summer as we run our classes. We actually, didn't we do a live one with when the guys were here?
Maybe.
I think we did. We'll do that again. Okay, I'll get that finished up. You're not missing anything. We did post the tail end of our
last live.
our last live, which was the sled. Hopefully you got to see it. It's on our YouTube channel, so you can find it. Any final words? Anything we need to tell them? Any reminders?
Nope. Just look for our new video coming soon.
Yeah, the new video, the bench building video, will be out within 2 weeks, guaranteed. You can blame me if it isn't. All right. Thanks again. Have a good weekend. Relax. Enjoy life. And don't sweat the small stuff. See you later.